Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Shaft. You know what they say about Shaft? He's a bad mother. Shut your mouth. That's right, Shaft is back to the big screen as a follow-up to not only the popular series with Richard Roundtree, but also the 2000 film starring Samuel L. Jackson. I think Shaft is just such a fun property, obviously very campy in this day and age, like a lot of blaxploitation tends to be, looking at it through the retrospect, but also really important to have this action star as a black lead in its time frame, and it was a lot of fun, just right off the bat, a lot of fun. Plus, obviously, it's an iconic character at this point, and I thought the follow-up with Samuel L. Jackson was also a lot of fun as a film, and these trailers were selling me completely. I thought this movie looked like a blast, and I was excited to see it. And overall, it delivered more or less exactly what I anticipated. I think this film is a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. And I have to say it, Samuel L. Jackson is the biggest positive of this film. This is his wheelhouse. Getting to play a character very similar to himself gets to be this really funny badass. And that is Samuel L. Jackson in a nutshell. And when you let him just do his thing, Samuel L. Jackson is magic. And I thought he was so good in this movie. He gets almost all of the big laughs in the film. He is so funny. You love being around his character. Even if you don't sometimes like what he has to say, he's a good time. I personally love Jesse T. Usher, and I thought he was also really good in this film. He has such a great on-screen presence. He oozes this just natural charm. And I thought he portrayed the real, like, straight-laced type of character really well. Of course, it was awesome to get to see Roundtree come back, and I think this film is definitely at its peak when all three generations of Shaft are together. That is just so much fun to see. That's when the film is like at its highest level. Just a blast. But Regina Hall, I thought was a lot of fun as well. She actually gets quite a few laughs too. And then we have Alexandra Shipp, who is stunning. Like, just drop dead gorgeous in this film. I had some problems with her character, but I thought she played the role well. And as I said earlier, this film is really funny. I was laughing pretty consistently throughout the entire movie. And a lot of it is just character-driven laughs. It is back and forth development with these characters. And what I did really appreciate is we had Samuel L. Jackson and Jesse T. Usher's characters really learning from each other. It seems very one-sided for a long portion of the film, to be honest. But you clearly get to see the end results of Samuel L. Jackson kind of learning from a younger generation. And I thought getting to that point was also really nice. And their development and coming together as a pair worked well for me. Now, there's not a whole lot of action scenes in this film. It's definitely more of a comedy, I would say. It mostly succeeded on that front. But the action was also a lot of fun, and it interjected comedy perfectly well. There was some inventive stuff happening in this action scenes, but it was really the humor that put him over the edge. So what didn't work quite so well when it comes to Shaft? Well, I mentioned laughing a lot because there is a lot to laugh with in this film. However, there's quite a bit to cringe at as well. Samuel L. Jackson's Shaft is very abrasive, and while that mostly works, the tone of the film takes on a very old school stereotypical macho-ness that I'm not really a fan of. I don't like being in that environment myself. And it sort of gets addressed. It starts to get softened as the film goes along. But it's a lot of like macho-ness that I was like, oh, alrighty then. I understand that the film definitely was going for old young folks, there are some tried and true ways to do things, and actually, hey, old folks, there are some new ways to make your life easier. But that macho-ness, like the old school views on femininity in general, whether it be men or women, definitely dated the film just a bit. I also think this movie definitely feels more like a Tim Story film than a pure Shaft movie. And I say that because Tim Story has a lot of these crowd pleasing, mostly African American casted comedies that he's directed over the years, most of which I think are actually really fun and quite funny, like Shaft is really fun and quite funny. However, it's really lacking that deepness of a good blaxploitation film. Just looking at something like Black Klansman or plenty of Spike Lee's catalog, honestly, those have a pure essence of blaxploitation because they have a lot to say and there's a lot underneath just the entertaining, fun surface. This film didn't have that. There were things that could have been said. There were issues that are kind of brought up, but just played for laughs. And we never go under the surface. We never have any subtext to deal with in this movie. It's just straightforward. It's a comedy with some action involved, and that's about it. And unfortunately, going along with the Tim Story comedies and the old-fashioned views, it unfortunately does fall into quite a few tropes and stereotypes. The really buttoned up, nerdy son who doesn't fit in with the culture, paired up with a really hip, really cool person. Again, the buttoned up, really nerdy, not macho one is made fun of for being too feminine and not getting the girl, yada yada. Alexandra Shipp's character just being a complete damsel the entire film. So she's a doctor and she doesn't even know what our First Amendment is. It's like, oh. But throughout the whole film, I mean, she just is standing there being held for most of the time for one reason or another, and it's just like, oh my gosh. They try to make her seem a little bit stronger, but really, she's just a damsel. And then some of the messaging behind, like, guns are sexy and all that is a little bit touch and go, a little bit off-putting at times. Regina Hall's character is basically a nagging wife for a good portion of this film. The single mom who overly feminized her son. Like, it just falls into a lot of stereotypical tropes, and I found that a little bit unfortunate. Now, some of them work, and some of the jokes about race or about the way you behave are funny, and you go along with them. And while they, I guess, could be taken as offensive, a lot of them still land. It's just kind of the undertone of the film takes with these tropes that wasn't my favorite. But overall, if you like the original Shaft series, if you enjoyed that film with Samuel L. Jackson, I think you're going to have a really good time with Shaft. And I honestly would probably give it a full price ticket. My theater was erupting with laughter the entire film. They cheered at the end. I mean, they were all on board for this movie. So if this is up your alley and you enjoy the character and you enjoy this legacy, this is a full price ticket. Otherwise, if you're looking for a comedy with some action sprinkled in, I also think this is worth, I would say, a matinee. It is very entertaining, very funny, but a little bit old-fashioned. Mind you of days gone past when it comes to comedic action films. So that is my review of Shaft. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Shaft? And what are your thoughts on the series? Have you seen anything Shaft related? Let me know either in the comment section down below or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!